What's up, Badger fans? Coming to you as we continue to chop through this 2024 recruiting class, going player by player. For the first time, we got someone else on the show to help kind of break down these guys. I'm excited for it. It's nice to get another set of eyes. Darrion Dupree, running back at Chicago, Illinois, 5'10-ish, 190, 4-star on Rivals, 3-star everywhere else. I like him a lot. We did the consensus top 10 community list. He came in at number 4. Admittedly, I had him a little lower, but still in my top 10. Justin, I know you're high on Darrion Dupree. This is a huge part of this class, and he's one of 2 exceptionally talented running backs.
Yeah, I congratulations to Rivals. I just want to say right off the bat, being the only service that actually got his ranking right.
4 stars.
I don't know what the heck the other 3 are looking at on film. 2 of them, I would say, are actually, I would say all 3 of them are probably lazy. He screams 4-star on film to me. Watching him, the vision is there, the elusiveness is there. He's got very high level speed watching him, and he's got good quickness. He's going to be a guy that's going to be problematic. I compared him to Aaron Jones when I watch him, and part of that is his versatility. They're very similar in that regard. Jones is a guy that Green Bay splits out a lot and will send out in motion and put him in the slot. I think you can do that with Dupree. He's got that type of ability where he's going to be a guy that's a mismatch, even against probably like a nickel corner. He legitimately may be right now, if you put him in, the most well-rounded of our slot receivers already. Like he's that level of receiver that if you wanted to play him in the slot, he probably could do that at an extremely high level. It's just he offers so much as a Swiss Army knife because he's also a guy who can run between the tackles and he runs hard and has really good balance that you can get away with using him out of the backfield.
I love, so we do this in every prospect. What are the 3 things you really like about him? You got into a little bit there, but I want to start it with you. If you had to break it down into 3 things, you do the first, I'll do the second, and we'll kind of collaborate on anything we miss. If you could break it into a point, what's the biggest thing you like about him?
His elusiveness. I think he's a guy that's incredibly difficult to corral. And if you make a misstep on him, you're done. He's fast enough that he'll just go right by you. We looked at some of the previous Badger running backs and what they were really good at. Guys like Melvin Gordon and Taylor. They were more subtle in their cuts.
Yeah.
Dupree is the prime example of a guy who will leave you just falling all over yourself. Yeah. If you make a bad move on him, you are going to look stupid. It's not a I missed. It's an oh man. I don't want to watch film on Sunday the next day.
So I love the elusiveness. I agree with that point. If I want to throw out the second thing I really like about him, it's the versatility. You hit on it, right? Like this is a player, I think you can use him out of the backfield. I think you can use him on jet sweeps. I think you could use him in a slot receiver position if it came down to it. I think you could throw the ball to him out of the backfield. I think you can use him on first, second, third down. And honestly, he's the type of athlete that listen, he's a running back. I'm just saying this type of athlete could play other positions too. Like that's how athletic he is. You mentioned slot receiver. Like he's athletic enough to play a corner. Again, I'm not saying this, but that's the type of athleticism and versatility he brings. So if I'm breaking down the second thing I love about this prospect, you mentioned elusiveness. To me, it's a versatility. He's just a Swiss Army knife, and you can't have too many of those guys.
Yeah, he's a guy I look to come in and we talked about Dylan Jones being a guy who's probably going to be more of like a workhorse type back. I think when you look at Dupree, I think if you're using him correctly, he's a guy you give him 13, 14 carries, and then you want to throw him the ball 6 or 7 times. Because if you get him in space, he's going to do some magical things out there. And that's one of the things of beauty with him. If you those little pass plays that we saw to Braylon Allen this year, Dupree is the type of guy that's electrifying when he gets that ball in there. Like if you give him a runway, he's going to make somebody miss, and he can turn that into a 20-yard. He's probably a guy, I would say, I wouldn't be shocked if he's a 4.4 guy. I think that he's got that kind of speed. He's got that. He definitely gets up to speed quickly. So he can really run.
I can't wait to see him getting those same kind of flare passes. And listen, it's no disrespect to BA. Like that just wasn't BA's game. I thought he showed pretty good hands, actually.
He did. I think he looked adept at catching it. I just think that his feet aren't as light as a guy like Dupree. Yeah, Dupree is an NFL. We're talking about Dupree as like an NFL third down back. He's that type of guy.
And I was just trying to make Badger to Badger comparisons. I think the Aaron Jones comp is pretty good as well. To me, he's kind of like a Dare type of a player. I think he's a little faster than Darrion, but people forget, like maybe they don't forget, but Darrion was a walk-on, obviously, but Darrion was also an NFL running back.
Yeah.
Like,
I think I like Darrion. I think Dupree's got better vision, and I think that's where he has a chance to be a little more special in that regard.
all right, give me your third thing if you have one that you really like about Darrion Dupree. If not, I got another one.
Off the top of my head, man. Give me yours. And
Yep. So to me, it's the recruiting win, right? And that's a bit of a maybe cop out, but like when you go and you hold off in Alabama, like we talk a lot about what kind of prospect this is and how do you determine. You never really know, but if you hold off a late charge from Alabama, like this is the dude they wanted. And that tells you what kind of talent Dupree is. Keeping him in state, or not in state, but in the Midwest and at Wisconsin was a huge coup.
Yeah. Well, they tried to grab him twice.
Yeah.
Like they came and tried to get him to take a visit. Wisconsin kind of pulled him away from taking the visit. And then coming up to signing day, they tried again and couldn't get any headway then.
Well,
and if
I was just gonna say, if you're at Alabama, of course you keep trying if he's at Wisconsin because Alabama's up here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're down in the pecking order. So low key, this staff, this cycle has been incredible at showing like if we get somebody to commit, they're staying with us, regardless of who's coming hunting. And I think that's really impressive. That bodes extremely well for this staff going forward.
All right, Justin, let's put the film up. Let's watch. This is fun film. Like some of these guys in this class are really fun to watch.
The amount of work that this kid gets done on limited reps this season, like if he had the regular amount of touches that a lot of these other guys out there in the country had, his numbers would be insane. Like we're talking 2,000 yards rushing, probably another 800 or 900 receiving.
This dude just falls over like he kind of like a stray bullet trying to tackle Dupree in the open field. Like he's so talented. Hopefully our heads don't cover up too much of this film. This is the first time we've tried doing this with two people. But and here again, we talked about line up in the slot, catching the ball out of the backfield. Hand-eye coordination. It's just a weapon everywhere.
This is ridiculous.
That's such a hard catch, man.
Yeah. There are NFL guys that can't make that play. That tells you how much body control this kid has. And that's when I talked about his balance.
Look at this.
He's got incredible balance in tight area.
He just dead legs him. The other thing you mentioned balance. That's something we didn't really talk about as he runs behind Justin's and mine forehead. His balance and the ability to run through tackles he's not a big running back, but he's
got a very low center of gravity.
Really,
and you can tell when guys hit him up top, he just kind of spins a little bit.
And look at his run angles. There's multiple angles he outruns there. Again, use him in different ways.
And there are athletes in this league. This is high level. Jeez. One cut, gone.
Yeah. They have no chance. One of the interesting things with Dupree with me is, again, we talked about this is the first full class for Fickell, right? Well, this is the first full cycle for all these coaches. This is Longo and those guys getting the guys they really want for the first time. Spaulding as well. This is one of their dudes.
Well, I mean, we've heard that they thought about him as a really high level guy. I mean, Evan Flood talks about it all the time, how the staff has said that they viewed him as a high 4-star, 5-star type running back. And when you watch some of the special things he does on film, I don't disagree with that one bit. I think that some schools were scared away from him because they're like, we don't think that this can be a 20-25 yard or 20-25 carry guy. And I think that you need to look at that and also be like, yeah, but if I can get 20 to 22 touches out of him, even if he's not getting it all in carries, he's so good in space that I want him touching the football that many times. Well, he's going to make my team better.
Look at him right up the middle too. That's another thing. There's vision and ability up the middle between the tackles. Unlike a lot of high school running backs who are bouncing everything to the outside, he will take it between the tackles and find that seam. But the other thing with him too is there's kind of a unique element in his game where he just has the ability to find that hole and, like you said earlier, put the foot in the ground and explode. Right? There is a north-south component to his game that is really impressive. The acceleration and the agility are top-notch. There's probably not a quicker player in this class. Maybe Kyneberry Johnson.
He'd be the only one, and he has exceptional short area quickness too. Jeez,
so good.
He's just coasting, downshifting to run into the end zone.
Yeah. All right. Any last thoughts as we kind of wrap this whole up on Darrion Dupree?
Yeah, if this kid stays healthy, he's going to be a really talented player at Wisconsin. There's so many things that he does well. And I think we haven't seen a back that's potentially going to do some of the things that he's done here since Calhoun. That's the last time we saw somebody who I think it's legitimately possible that Dupree could be a guy who rushes for 1,000 yards and catches 500 yards.
I would say too. Earlier you mentioned, can we maybe schools were a little leery because they didn't think he could be a 20-25 carry guy, but can we get him 20-25 touches? I don't even know if you need to do that in today's game, right? Like if you got him 15 touches and maybe Dupree got 15, or 15 could be enough. You save wear and tear on the body, and if you get 15 touches, but you're an explosive type player, you can break a couple of those and change a game.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that was part of what his coach said about him coming out of high school. It was Jordan Lynch, who was the former Northern Illinois quarterback, said, we had good players on this team. I wasn't going to run him into the ground.
Right.
This is a kid that we want to keep as much tread on him as possible for college. And if I don't need to, he's like, the numbers that he would have put up if we had to use him would have been insane.
That's an insane word.
Oh man.
Like it's just silly. Sorry.
The level of strength that he shows for a little back is impressive.
I mean,
he's not a huge kid.
Watching Noel Devine in high school just a tiny bit. He's a little bigger. He's not the same player, but we're going to wrap it there. He is Justin. I'm Ryan. This is Locked On. Again, breaking down every single prospect in the class. This was Darrion Dupree, somebody that we both feel like should have been ranked a little bit higher by just about everybody but rivals.
Yep.
Is what it is. On Wisconsin, more player breakdowns coming up. We're going to cut this one and turn it over to the recruiting analyst to talk a little bit more about Darrion Dupree.